right, we're gonna do a review on this little generator right here. So we bought this thing. I can't even remember if it was Lowe's or Home Depot, but one of those. I believe it was Lowe's, but I can't even remember right now. So we got this thing primarily to use for our well pump because we're off grid here, and we're going to continue to be off grid. And I don't have a power or solar system set up right now strong enough to run this pump, but we will in the future, and we'll be doing videos on that also. But our well's right here, and so we just fire this thing up and pump enough water to last us for a day or two, and then you know, do it all over again, and it's working great. So I'm going to tell you what I like about this and what I don't like about it, because I've dealt with some frustrations on this. It seems like it's hard for me to give a real good review on anything because I'm pretty critical. My working career was being an inspection guy in machine shops, and also I'm a professional downgrader is what some people like to call it. But this is not a bad generator. It's really not. So one of the good things, it's a dual fuel, you know, so you can run it on propane or gas. And of course your propane's a lot cleaner, so your spark plugs will probably last pretty much forever when you're running on propane. But I'm not sure about the fuel economy, if that's better than gas or not. But I know that the gasoline, you get a little more horsepower, a little more energy out of the engine if you need it. In this case, I don't think we really need it, but that's just one thing to consider. The gas is a little more powerful, you know, on your engine than running on propane. So I had this thing, let's see, we've had this thing now I think for 6 or 7 months, something like that. And we've had a couple things go out on it, which was very irritating. Well, the first, before we get into that, the first frustration I had was I'd fire this thing up. It would run good for 5, maybe 10 minutes. It varied. And it just shuts down. It just quits running. Brrr, just bogs down and stops. So what the heck? What's going on? So all these weird things are going through my mind on what to do. I wanted to take the thing back, but it's a pain. So I'm going to work my way through it like I do everything else. I'm going to figure this thing out, because you could come back over here and fires right back up. It's not, the engine is doing what it's told to do. The engine's fine. I know the engine's running good. It's doing what it's supposed to do, but there's some electronics in there that are telling it to shut down. So finally, after being really frustrated for, I don't know, close to a month, I finally read the directions, which I should have done in the first place, right? But I didn't. So the direction says, I've had other generators before and I didn't have to do this, but on this particular model here, start the thing up, let it run, don't hook anything, don't plug anything into it at all, no load at all, and let it run. They say for several minutes. Well, you know what? I'm not going to let this thing sit there for several minutes just running. Wah! So I've been waiting, and it's been working. I've been waiting for about probably no more than 2 minutes, 1 to 1.5 minutes, something like that. I'll let it run before I plug anything into it and put it under a load. And it hasn't been shutting down on me. And that's what the directions say to do. And when you're ready to shut her down, it's the same thing. Unplug everything, take the load off of it, let it run for a couple of minutes at least, and then shut it down. Which, that whole thing, I don't get it, but I'm not an electronic guy. I'm sure it's something to save. It's some safety device so that you don't burn something up in there. I'm sure it's something like that, but I don't get it. And it's just something you got to live with this generator. And their newer models might be different, so they might not all be this way, but this particular model is like that. And the directions also said this thing needs to be really level. They said like you might want to put a level on it. You can lay one across here and here and get it real level, which is odd. I've had generators before and that wasn't a big issue. Neither did you have to let it run for a while before and after you you know, start the thing. But that's another thing. So it's not a big deal really. So make sure it's level. And then after all that, and I got the thing's running real good and all that, we had something finally go out on it. Well, finally, this is what, about 2 months after I bought the thing, first thing that went out was this on-off switch right here went out. So this is on propane, where it's at right now. That's off, shuts everything down, and that's gasoline. So we went from here to shut it off, and it wouldn't turn off all of a sudden. It was working great, and then all of a sudden it just quit. It wouldn't shut down. It just keeps running just as happy. It runs as good right there on gas as it does right there on gas. So if you turn it to propane and you don't have a propane bottle hooked up, or if you do, you can shut the valve off so the propane won't come out. Well, it shuts down right there. So that's how I'm shutting it down now, which isn't a big deal, but you pay a lot of money for these things, and they don't work. They break, within 2 months. First thing that comes to my mind is they're made in China. Well, no wonder. So I'm going to get by with that switch the way it is. It works. Not the way it's supposed to, but it does work. I can get by. So the next thing that went out, and the only other thing that's gone out so far, is, and this was just like within 2.5 months, so like right after that switch over there went out, the choke went out. So like normally you push the choke to choke, it will stay there. It's a manual choke. You grab it and you can move it and it stays wherever you put it. Well, what happened is it's just loose. The thing just flops back and forth. So you push the choke all the way over, it will stay right there till you pull the starter. And the minute you pull the starter, it goes to off choke, and then it'll stay off choke. Even though it's all loose, it just wants to stay over there. So during the summer months, it's not a big deal. It was working just fine. But as the weather's getting colder, like right now, it's getting colder. Well, we need that choke to work. So I'm trying to figure out a way to, I don't want to tear the thing apart and try to figure it all out. I really don't. It might be simple to fix, but I don't even know how. I kind of looked at it, and anyway, so I wanted to come up with something simple and fast. And I've got this magnet here. It's a little telescoping magnet used for fishing stuff, like screws or something that you drop down in the engine compartment. And I can attach it to the bottom of this gas tank flange. I can just come up under here and attach it to that, and I can get it just right to where it'll catch this choke and hold the thing open. So right there, see how it's holding it? And then you got to you can just move that past it, and then it'll stay off choke. So I'm just going to use that. It's working great. So I want to show you guys how easy this thing is to start. I mean, this has been a good little engine, really. The engine's great. It's the other things around it that's kind of falling apart. I'm going to show you this switch, how it won't work. The engine's going to be running. It's going to be loud, but I'm going to show you that this switch won't work. When it's straight up and down, is where it should shut off. And I'm going to show you that it won't shut off. Okay, so right there's where it should shut off, but it's not going to. So here's where we're running it on gas. This is propane, this is gas. That's what we're going to run it on. And I'm going to watch how easy this baby is to start. I'm impressed with this. So I usually give it just a little bit of a deal like that, just so it kind of gets a little fuel going. And then just one pull starts every time. So there you go. That's how I have to stop it. Now, if I were to hook it up to propane, which I haven't done since this switch has been out, but I bet you what I'm going to have to do, which isn't a big deal either, is just shut the little valve off on the propane tank. You know, on the top of the propane tank, just shut that valve. I guess you could just pop it off right here too, and you know, the hose, this is where the hose connects, so you could pop that off, that'd shut it down. So shutting it down, I guess, isn't that big of a deal. These things that don't work anymore is frustrating, but it runs good, man. So I'm fairly happy with this thing, you know. And so if I was going to rate it, because I like to give a rating, let's do the 1 through 5 thing like you normally would. For what we're using it for and all that, you know, I mean, we've had this thing for 7 months now, and we've had a couple of things go out within 2 months. You know, it would have to be about a 4, 3.5 to 4, somewhere right in there. And the reason why I'm giving it that high is that these things shouldn't break, you know, in 2 months. I mean, that's ridiculous. And then having to keep it perfectly level and running it for a while before, that's ridiculous too to me, but whatever. But the thing runs great, and it provides good power, and you can run it on propane or gas. So that's why I got it up around 4, but I knocked it down some because of the things that broke already. That shouldn't be going out that fast. But yeah, it's not a bad little generator. So, you know, if somebody, I'm not going to tell anybody not to buy one. I've had the Generac generators. They're like, I had one that I had 2,200 hours on it. The thing never had problems with it. It still ran great. I mean, I had one little issue, but it was easy to fix. And that was a good generator. I really liked the Generac, and that's why I wanted to get this time, but this is all they had in stock, and we needed to get something right away. So, but it's not a bad generator. So yeah, 3.5 to 4, and decent little generator. And thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll put out some more of these reviews on different things, and then I've got a lot of other fun things, videos for you to watch. We're kind of all over the place. We do a lot of different videos. So we got our old dog here, Jack. He's like 15 or 16 years old and still going. And then little Griff right here. Got a couple of goats, a couple more dogs. Building our house over here. So yeah, we got a lot going on, and we're gonna keep doing some cool videos. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.